Today's lesson is called Reddit Users Take on Wall Street. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to talk about the stock market. Okay, lots of us probably are considering buying stocks if we haven't already bought stocks. And the reason you buy stocks is to make money. Okay, you want to invest in stocks and you want the stock value to increase, and then you can sell those stocks later for a profit. But sometimes there are other ways to make money from the stock market. Whether they're ethical or not is something we need to discuss.
Today we're going to learn that Reddit users, well, they took on Wall Street. How do you take on Wall Street? Aren't those guys big, puffed up geniuses with all the money in the world and all the connections in the world? How do you do that? Well, we'll read about that today. At the center of all this is a company called GameStop. A hedge fund on Wall Street was about to take this company apart and make a bunch of money on this company's downfall. But Reddit users saw it coming and they were able to stop this from occurring. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll start reading from our article called Reddit Users Take on Wall Street.
Reddit users take on Wall Street. Controversy swept Wall Street in January when a group of Reddit users took on big investors who were betting against the company GameStop. The battle between small traders and large institutional players, who lost billions in the fight, left both sides facing criticism. In January, Wall Street investors were short-selling shares of GameStop, the struggling video game retailer. Short selling involves borrowing shares, selling them at current prices, and then buying them back at a later date to return to the lender. Short sellers are betting that the stock price will drop and that they can pocket the difference.
大家好，标题中我们看到片语 take on 表示与点点点较量或是对抗。例如 Tonight, I will take on the hardest enemy in my favorite video game. 今晚我将会在最爱的电玩中挑战最大的敌人。另外，除了上面的意思，这个片语还有以下几种用法。第一是表示承担责任或是接受工作。举例来说 I'm sorry, I'm too busy to take on another project right now. 很抱歉，我现在很忙而无法接别的专案。第二，表示具有新面貌或特质，或是开始呈现。我们可以说The actress took on a new look for the event. 那位女演员以新面貌参加这项活动。第三是 take on somebody, 则表示聘用、雇用。像是 Dave took on a personal assistant to keep track of his appointments. Dave 雇用一名私人助理来记录他的预约行程。再来，我们看到名词 controversy, 指争议或是争论。举例来说 The school's decision to start classes earlier was a huge controversy among students. 那所学校提早上课时间的决定在学生中掀起一大争议。接着我们看到单字 institutional, 这个字是形容词，指机构的。例如 Once the government organization was restructured, there was a lot of institutional opposition. 那间政府机构在重整之后出现了体制内的反抗。再来，我们看到名词 retailer, 意思是零售商。例如 Many retailers hold sales to bring customers into their stores. 许多零售商会举办特卖会来吸引顾客来光顾。另外，这个字去掉字尾的 er, 还有以下两种用法。第一，可以当动词，意思是零售。像是 This camera normally retails for $700, but we are currently offering it for half that amount. 这架相机通常零售价是$700，但我们现在卖半价。第二，可以当形容词，指零售的、零售价格的。举例来说 You can probably buy this item on the internet, and it will be cheaper than buying it in a retail store. 你也许可以在网络上买到这项商品，会比在零售商店里卖的便宜。
Okay, so you may have heard about this in the news. It involves Reddit and GameStop, which is a company that sells games. And of course, we've got Wall Street. So these are all the players here. There's some other players as well that we'll get to in just a second here. But let's talk about those Reddit users first. They took on Wall Street. So here we've got the verb phrase to take on. That just means you enter in some kind of competition with somebody and you think you're able to compete with them and you might actually win. Wall Street, of course, has those very savvy, well-educated, experienced investors. So yes, if you're a Reddit user, how can you compete with those guys? They know all the tricks. They know how to make money on the stock market. So we've got these Reddit users actually taking them on, challenging them to an investment duel.
Well, what I heard was that it was only one hedge fund on Wall Street. But yes, they have computer power and educated people and a bunch of capital that they can use. But they were taking on a bunch of smart people on Reddit. It's a site on the internet there where people comment and communicate and link to one another and stuff like that. And there were a lot of users on Reddit who figured out what was going on and they decided to work together and pool their resources together to take on this particular hedge fund on Wall Street. And it sounds like they kind of beat this particular hedge fund. How did they do it? Well, there wasn't just one Reddit user. There were many of them, and they were using their stimulus checks from the COVID-19 relief program. Anyways, controversy, it says, swept Wall Street in January when a group of Reddit users took on big investors who were betting against the company GameStop. By the way, you can make money by betting against a stock. Usually when you buy a stock, you're saying, come on, go up, go up, go up. Show profits, show that you're making good products, that you're selling a lot of stuff. And if the stock goes up, you make money. But you can also bet against a company and make money. It's called shorting a stock. When you do that, you don't actually buy a stock. You pay someone to momentarily control that stock. And in that period of time, you can sell it, okay? You just have to pay the original person back the same amount at the end of that period of time. But if you sell it, and then the stock goes way down, you can buy it for a fraction of the same cost at the end and give the original person back the same amount in terms of stock. The difference is pure profit. That's how you bet against a stock. It's called shorting. Now, that sounds really smart, but at the same time, you can ruin companies at the same time. That's what Wall Street was going to do with this company, GameStop.
Okay, so basically they're doing something that's
controversial.
Controversial, right? It's controversy. It causes controversy. Some people say, hey, that's okay. They can do that. You know, it's a stock market there. Everything's game. You know, if you want to make money in whatever way you want, you can go ahead and do it. While other people are saying, no, you can't do that. That's unethical. It's the wrong thing to do. So if people disagree about something, there is controversy. For example, if a politician says something that's very sensitive, it could cause controversy. How could he say that? That is outrageous. So many people are upset by what he said. There, of course, is controversy. And the adjective, of course, is controversial. What they did was controversial.
There you go. Now let's move on. The next sentence says, the battle between small traders and large institutional players who lost billions in the fight left both sides facing criticism. Yes, everybody was saying, everybody else did something wrong. By the way, that's what criticism is all about. If you level criticism at someone, you're saying that they've done something wrong. You're pointing out their flaws. And here, these small traders, some people thought that they did things wrong. And these large institutional players, hedge funds, investment banks, stuff like that. Some people thought that they did things wrong. So everyone was facing criticism here.
Yep, and they're still discussing it to this day. So yes, indeed, they faced criticism. Now in January, going back 5 months now, Wall Street investors were short selling shares of GameStop. And Jeff just explained what short selling is. But GameStop, in case you don't know, is a video game retailer. It's struggling, and I think I know why, because most people, I think, are getting their games online or something. This is actually a brick and mortar store that sells the games. I think my daughter wanted to go to one of those places when I went back home a couple of years ago, and yeah, there was nobody there. Nobody was in there buying games and stuff like that. It seems like it's an old technology, so that's where we're saying it's struggling. A retailer, of course, is someone or some company that sells things.
There you go. And short selling involves borrowing shares, selling them at current prices, and then buying them back at a later date to return to the lender, all of which I talked about earlier. Short sellers are betting that the stock price will drop and that they can pocket the difference. But this didn't work out this way this time. These Reddit users got in the way of a hedge fund that was trying to do this. And I kind of think these Reddit users are kind of heroic. That's just how I feel. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break. We'll be right back after this.
Seeing this activity, users of the social media site Reddit began investing in GameStop, attempting to increase its stock price and squeeze the short sellers. Investors who had been short selling the stock were forced to buy it back to prevent further losses, and these purchases sent the price even higher. Over just a few days, GameStop's stock price soared from about $40 to a high of $483 before dropping again. Several small traders instantly became wealthy as Wall Street investors looked on in shock.
第二部分，我们看到单字 soar。这个字是动词，指价格或是数量骤升、猛涨。例如 ，cases of hay fever usually start to soar in March。花粉症的病例通常会在3月开始大幅增加。另外，除了上面的意思，这个字还可以指高飞、翱翔。我们可以说 It was a windy day and many kites were soaring over the beach。那天风很大，很多风筝在海边上空翱翔。最后，我们看到片语 look on， 表示袖手旁观。例如 She was unable to do anything and just looked on as the robbery happened in front of her。抢案在她面前发生时，她无法做任何事，只能在一旁观看。
Okay, let's talk about the next part of our lesson here. It says, seeing this activity, users of the social media site Reddit began investing in GameStop, attempting to increase its stock price and squeeze the short sellers. So they knew these short sellers had done this, and the short sellers, of course, wanted the price to go down, but the Reddit users thought, aha, if we actually get involved in this, we can screw them over. We can increase the price, and then those short sellers will be up a creek without a paddle.
There you go. So investors who had been short selling the stock were forced to buy it back to prevent further losses, and these purchases sent the price even higher. How about that? So, first of all, investing. If you invest money in something, okay, you're putting money in something to make more money out of that thing, okay? That's what it means to invest in something. And yes, if you're investing in something, you are an investor in that thing. So there you go. These people on Reddit there, they started investing in GameStop. They started buying that stock. They wanted the stock to go up, not only to make money, but to also squeeze these short sellers. And it says further that these short sellers were forced to buy back the stock to prevent further losses, and that these purchases sent the price even higher. And here we have the word purchase to talk about. A purchase is an instance of buying something. So they had to buy back the stock, or they had to purchase the stock once again.
Purchase as a verb again. Here it's a noun, but you can also use it as a verb. I purchased a new car over the weekend, for example. So over just a few days, in just a few days' time, GameStop's stock price soared from about $40 to a high of $483 before dropping again. So yes, the price of the stock soared per share, $40, about that price, up to $483, about 10 times its value. So it soared. It went up really high, went up really fast, but then it dropped again. If you had the stock and sold it at the right time, you could make a fortune.
Yep, several small traders instantly became wealthy. They made a fortune as Wall Street investors looked on in shock. They could only look on or witness the activity. They couldn't do anything about it. They were totally in shock, totally surprised by what they were seeing or witnessing. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break. But when we come back, we'll be wrapping up our lesson.
The situation quickly became political, with charges of market manipulation coming from both sides. By mid-February, Congress was involved, and the issue became an early test for the new administration of President Joe Biden.
Okay, here's the final part of our lesson. The situation quickly became political, with charges of market manipulation coming from both sides. So, of course, as you know, in the United States, things are polarized. Everything is political. Which party do you support? Are you a fan of the Democrats or the Republicans? And the same is kind of true here in Taiwan. Are you green or are you blue? Everyone gets political, and that's what happened with this situation. They started to get political, and then they started blaming each other. There was charges of market manipulation coming from both sides. You're not supposed to manipulate the market. It's supposed to be fair for everybody. There's not supposed to be things like insider trading and things like that. It's supposed to be fair.
These guys on Wall Street there, it sounds like they finally got a taste of their own medicine. They didn't see it coming. There was a secret cabal working behind the scenes there, and finally someone was able to outsmart the Wall Streeters there. Everybody in Wall Street's working together, and they have lobbyists at Congress there, always working behind the scenes to get things done. But hey, market manipulation, it shouldn't happen, so let's be fair, okay? Both sides should be criticized. Anyways, by mid-February, Congress was involved, and the issue became an early test for the new administration of President Joe Biden.
Yep, when you talk about the government and all the people who work in the government and all their appointed positions and things like that, that is the administration. You could talk about the current administration of President Tsai here in Taiwan. Who are the people who work in the government? Who are the government ministers? Those people are all part of the administration. And in this particular case, it was a test for Joe Biden. Is he a good president? Did he handle the situation well? Or is he a failure? Did he handle it badly? Of course, both sides are going to have different opinions about that. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的最后一句写到说，卖空者赌股价会下跌，而他们可以赚取差额。好，文中用到 pocket the difference 来表达赚取差额。那么 pocket 当名词我们知道有口袋的意思，那它当动词呢可以表达把什么装进口袋，将什么据为己有。而在课文里面呢 pocket 在这边它是指说赚取赢得，尤其是指说用那种看似轻松或是不公平的方式来赚取赢得什么东西。好，那我们也来补充几个跟 pocket 有关的用语，像第一个 deep pockets， 什么是深口袋呢？同学们应该猜得到，你口袋深就可以装很多钱嘛，所以这个用语呢是指很多钱，财力雄厚的意思。像我们中文不是也会用口袋很深来描述一个人很有钱，或是说啊我自己口袋不够深，负担不起什么东西。好，那么第二个用语是line the pockets， 或者是 line somebody's pockets。 那么 line 在这边是当动词来表达为什么东西来加内里加内衬。那么当我们把这个口袋里面加了内里，目的是要掩饰不法获得的钱，所以这个用语就是在表达赚取非法利益中饱私囊的那种语义。好，课文最后写到说，到了2月中旬国会介入，而这个问题成了拜登总统新政府的一项初期考验。好，这边有一个单字是 Congress， Congress 它表示美国国会，那我们要来学习它的字首字根。好，看到 GRESS 这个部分呢，它其实是跟这个 GRAD 这个字根有关。GRAD 这个字根呢，它可能会拼作 GRADU、GRED、GREE、GRESS。好，那这一类的字根呢，它有 go 或者是 step 的语义，也就是步行或是步骤。好，在 Congress 这个字当中，它的字首 CON 表示一起， GRESS 表示步行。当所有的人一起步行走去某个地方，前往那个地方去讨论事情，我们就可以用这样的方式去联想说 Congress 它有议会或是代表大会的意思。那么当这个字的字首 C 大写的话，就是用来指美国国会。好，我们顺便补充几个相同字根的单字。第一个是 aggressive， 好，它的字首 AG 是来自 AD 只是因为碰到 G 开头的字根，所以才会拼成 AG。 那么这个字首它表示朝向， GRESS 表示步行。好，朝向某人一步一步靠近，一步一步的逼近，那就会有侵犯侵略的感觉了。我们也许可以用这样的方式去联想 aggressive， 它是形容是侵略的、侵犯的或是野心勃勃的。好，再来看到第二个补充的是 progress， PROGRESS， 它的字首 PRO 表示向前，那么 GRESS 表示步行或是走。向前走应该很容易联想到发展进展的语义嘛，那么 progress 就表示进步进展。好，第三个补充的是 regress， 或是当名词念作 regress。 好，它是拼作 REGRESS， 那么这个字首 RE 表示往回， GRESS 表示步行或是走，合在一起 regress 它就有倒退、退步或是退化的意思咯。好，以上是今天的重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Controversy.The politician's speech caused a lot of controversy among the public. Criticism. When Roger shared his idea, he wasn't expecting to face such criticism. Invest. Stan recently decided to invest in his best friend's business. Purchase. Please keep this receipt as proof of your purchase. Soar. Unfortunately, house prices have soared over the past 20 years. Congress members are discussing whether to offer tax breaks to unemployed citizens. Administration. The report introduces the policies of the new administration at length.
Discussion Starter starts now!
Okay, now it's time for our discussion starter. Of the two sides there, Roger, which do you support and why?
I think the actions of the Reddit users were irresponsible and reckless, okay? They need to stop and say, hey, are we doing the right thing here? Even though most people don't like Wall Street investors and they're greedy and they have more money than they know what to do with, still, we need to have ethics here, and the Reddit users should have reflected on their actions before they acted. How about you?
Are you kidding? I support the Reddit users because finally those Wall Street guys, they got a taste of their own own medicine. Someone, or some group of people, I should say, organized behind the scenes and kind of coordinated an attack on them. That's usually what the Wall Street guys do on other people. So finally, the Wall Street guys got a taste of their own medicine. Yeah. Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.